Hello, my name is Kays, and welcome to what is a bit of a new format for Kays Labs. Um, I wanted to make a video where I talk a little bit about some of the synthesizers that interest me and maybe play some of the sounds that they can make. So you could call this a little bit of a hybrid between what would be a jam video and more kind of like of a general commentary about, some of these wonderful machines that I find myself being so fascinated with. The synthesizer that I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time now is the Korg DSS-1. And some of you might say, wait a minute, I thought the Korg DSS-1 was a sampler. Is it a sampler or is it a synthesizer? And the answer would be yes. It's a bit of a weird beast. Let me just kind of say that about the Korg DSS-1, but I think it's one of the, in my opinion, best synthesizers, sampler synthesizer that Korg ever created, especially in the 80s. In order to understand a little bit what Korg was thinking with the Korg DSS-1 and why they even thought about making it in the first place, I think it's important to rewind the clock a little bit and talk about what was happening in that general period of, synthesizer creation. Late 70s and early 80s gave us, what is vastly considered to be perhaps like the golden age of analog synthesis, with manufacturers such as Moog and ARP and Sequential and Roland and Yamaha and Korg themselves. And they were all like coming up with like really amazing machines and trying to kind of push the technology. Roland in particular, I think, was like a standout of that period. And then something happened that completely flipped the script upside down for these manufacturers. And what happened was the Yamaha DX7. So the Yamaha DX7 came out, I think, like 1983-ish, maybe 84. And it seemed to like come out of nowhere, and it utilizes this brand new type of synthesis called FM synthesis. It's a digital type of synthesis. And what got people really excited about the DX7 is that it didn't sound like anything else at the time. I mean, it sounded completely new. It had this very glassy sort of high-end sounds, like, all these kind of like chimes and bells, and in the mid-range it was this like really wonderful electric pianos, and I don't know, maybe even a little bit acoustic-y sort of sounding pianos. And then in the low end had this really kind of harsh and hard-hitting type of basses, like, incredibly sharp attacks and kind of metallic and kind of abrasive in your face. And people really liked it. Mostly, I think, because they had never quite heard anything like it. I mean, in my opinion, I've never been a huge fan of FM synthesis. I owned a Yamaha TX-81Z for about 2 or 3 years. I just didn't like it, so I sold it at some point. And I was always much more interested in analog synthesis and samplers. As the DX7 literally like takes over the entire market of synthesizers, Korg and Roland start panicking. And Roland kind of, I think, like buys a little bit more time for itself as they're kind of eventually moving towards developing the D50 that really kind of brought them back to the forefront, where Korg released the DW line, which is the DW6000 and DW8000. And those synthesizers were a bit of a hybrid of sorts, in the sense that they were not like romplers in the kind of sense that we understand, say, like the M1 to be, or the D50. But they did use a teeny tiny bit of RAM to have these single cycle waveform samples that they could use as the raw oscillations upon which to build with the analog pipeline, analog filters and VCAs and so on and so forth. In the case of the DW6000, it also had like this analog chorus, which sounds really nice. And in the case of the DW8000, they added this digital delay, which could do a little bit of some chorusy effects. between the time that the DW series came out and when Korg finally figured out how to make the M1, there was this gap, and Korg was trying to kind of figure out how do we maintain momentum and how do we try to recapture some of the market from the X7 crowd, as well as maybe jump on board this exciting new technology, which was sampling, where you could take a little bit more than a single cycle waveform to generate sounds. And I guess like a team at Korg came up with the idea of making the Korg DSS-1, which was this hybrid sort of synth. Like it was almost like a DW 8000-esque synthesizer where you could actually kind of customize the waveform. So you weren't dealing with like 16 raw waveforms and those were the choices that you had, but rather it was, go out and record whatever you want, and you can kind of use these waveforms to, generate basically whatever it is that you would like for your sound to be, and we're going to give you like this full complement of really amazing analog filters and analog, voltage controlled amplifiers. And in addition to that, they added this dual, like basically like two of the digital delay units from the DW8000 and kind of packaged them into that. Let me cheat a little bit. I'm gonna take out my iPad here, and I'm just gonna read what Vintage Synth Explorer has to say about the DSS-1, so you kind of have like a little bit of a better overview of what it can do. Vintage Synth Explorer says that the Korg DSS-1 is a wonderful early digital synthesizer with 8 notes of polyphony, 2 oscillators per voice, a noise source, 2 multi-stage envelopes, a resonant filter, and autoband. And it says that the DSS-1 has a lot in common with the previous flagship, the DW8000, as it does. But it says that Korg went much further than that. It added twin digital delays, oscillator sync, an improved unison mode, a lush analog voltage-controlled filter, which is switchable between 12 and 24 dB. And this was like kind of like... I think Korg's way of saying, hey, look, you can do a lot more with this type of technology than we previously thought was possible with the DW series. I think that this was a very, very interesting step for Korg to take. Korg was not unique in this approach because I actually happen to have here another sampler, the first sampler that I owned, which is the Sequential Prophet 2000. As, I guess, RAM prices started becoming a little bit more affordable, not quite as affordable as they would become in the 90s, but a little bit more affordable, I think both Sequential and Korg sought to take advantage of sampling technology, which promised to do something that even the Yamaha DX7 couldn't do, which is to actually kind of come up with like instruments that sounded really realistic, like a really realistic sounding piano, realistic sounding organs, realistic sounding strings, and so on and so forth. But that's not all. So Korg also packaged an additive synthesis engine in it. Additive synthesis is a way that you can kind of derive complex waveforms by basically kind of adding up a bunch of sine waves at different overtones. And then to make things even more interesting, they added this way of creating a raw waveform, once again, like single cycle sort of thing, similar to what you might have had on the DW8000 and 6000, by kind of sort of drawing it. The way that it works, it's kind of clunky. I mean, I tried it and it's a little weird. But basically, there's this cursor that kind of moves across the screen. And you have like this slider that you kind of slide up and down, and as you're sliding up and down, it's just kind of sort of drawing this waveform as the cursor moves across the screen until it reaches the end, and that's kind of your waveform at the very end. So anyway, I think that's as much yakking about the Korg DSS-1 as I'm going to do. And I think it's interesting now to like kind of take a listen and see what it sounds like, because I mean, I think the sound speaks for itself. So what I have loaded up in here is this collection of analog synths, because I do think that with 256 kilobyte of RAM, you're not gonna have like this amazingly realistic grand piano or like string orchestra or anything like that. But this is actually part of the magic of what, in my opinion, makes the DSS-1 such a unique sampler synthesizer hybrid among, you know, similar, I guess, like sampler synthesizer hybrids, is the ability to generate incredibly amazing analog sounds. This is synth brass recording in a Logic, so what you're gonna hear on the video is actually gonna be the, you know, high quality audio. Come on, it's just, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. One of the things that, in my opinion, really stands out as far as the Korg DSS-1 sound is the incredibly warm low end that it has. I mean, if you're listening to this on really good speakers, you can probably tell just how amazingly low and rich that bass note sounds. It doesn't sound like anything that the DW8000 or the DW6000 can do. I mean, it's not just my opinion, it's objectively, like, just can't get, you just can't get this kind of sound out of those synthesizers. Let's move on. Here's one that uses the resonant filters, and once again, like the unit is capable of both 12 dB and 24 dB filters. I mean, it's truly wonderful. I would be hard-pressed not just to get this type of sound out of the DW series. I would be hard-pressed to get this type of sound out of the Matrix 6 or the Roland, you know, JX10. I don't know, like, you know, you might disagree, but I think this is an incredibly wonderful sounding synthesizer. Let's see here. We have like a synth bass. Kind of subsonic low end. And this really, really sharp attack. Really, really amazing. Let's move on. Let's see what else there is. Growth. So let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's complex, it's rich, it's everything that honestly I wish that my dream analog synthesizer would have, and this one has it in spades. Let's moving on. Strings. Here's an analog strings. one of the things that I should mention is that all of these presets that you're hearing are coming from a single bank of 256 kilobyte samples. So, I mean, it just kind of goes to show you that like this synthesizer sampler can do an incredible amount of analog processing using teeny tiny bit samples and still not at all sound like it's shortchanging the sound quality whatsoever. Let's see. Here's an Oberheim style brass. Here's a polysync. You get the idea. I mean, it's another just beautiful sounding analog synthesis type of sound, ghostly. If you heard a little bit of this kind of like slight pitch bend, but this is something, this is a cool little trick that they were using on the DW series. I think like the DW 8000, I'm not sure if the DW 6000 can do it, which is where there's like a slight bend up. You kind of hear it. It's particularly useful on like brassy type of sounds. It just kind of gives it that nice little, almost kind of like trumpet player, kind of like overblowing a little bit at first and then kind of, you know, easing into the right pitch. And in this context, they're, you know, kind of using it on this ghostly pad, which is not a brass pad, but it's incredibly effective. Let's see, what else? Res bass. You can kind of hear some of the digital delay. Wonderful, wonderful. What else do we have? Swept lead. Wonderful. Synth bass 2. Kind of makes me wish that the DSS-1 had a built-in arpeggiator. It does not, but and I don't have it hooked up to Logic through MIDI, so I can't really trigger like some arpeggiated sequences on here. But yeah, like I mean these types of sounds. One of my favorite synth based is kind of attacky. Synths is the Akai AX80 that I have here, and I have to say, like, once again, like, I mean, I can't get the Akai AX80 to sound like this. Yeah, like it just doesn't sound like that. So once again, like the Korg DSS-1 is giving me sounds that some of my purely analog synths would have a hard time with. Let's see here, dirt lead. Yeah, just really great type of sound. What is this? Winwood, I guess, like Steve Winwood. One of the things that I forgot to mention is that the keyboard does have aftertouch. It's a little stiff on this 40 plus year keyboard, but yeah, like, I mean, that's another way that you can modulate some of these sounds through aftertouch, which my Prophet 2000 does not have. Let's see here, what else have we got? 1984. Wonderful usage of filters in this preset. What else do we have? 1985. Yeah, just beautiful, beautiful sounds. Sunrise. Yeah, I mean, you either love that sound or you don't. But to me, it's like I would have to like layer so many other synthesizers to get something this rich, and just the quality of the filters is, I don't know. I just really love it. It's like butter. It's like butter. Again, that pitch bend that is triggered when I hit a note. particular things that I find myself listening for is, when dealing with samplers, is this kind of like cyclic looping point, right? And I can't hear it. I can't hear it on these sounds. I mean, I guess it's there, but it's so subtle that, I mean, it might as well just kind of be, this kind of natural pulsing that you would get also on an analog synthesizer. Let's see, Matrix 12. I love the Matrix 12. That's like one of my dream synths to own at some point. Yes, it's beautiful. CS80 thin. Moving right along, I'm just gonna run through like all these banks. Once again, like, I mean, this is just one single 256 kilobyte of RAM utilized to create all of these sounds. It just kind of blows my mind, honestly. Here's a matrix pad, I guess like a matrix sort of pad. Yeah, it's really wonderful. Fifth lead. Because keep in mind that this synthesizer has two oscillators, right? Like, so you sample something, and basically you have like two oscillators that are being layered together with that sample, which in turn you can kind of like choose to use different intervals for the two oscillators, hence creating like fifths. I mean, I can't do that on my Prophet 2000. The Prophet 2000 is fairly bare bones when it comes to, I mean, it sounds wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a really cool sampler that has this full complement of analog filtering in it, but the kind of analog part of the Prophet 2000 is it's pretty meat and potatoes. I mean, you're not going to find a whole lot of things that you can actually do here. I mean, if you look at all of the different things that, from a programming standpoint, that the DSS-1 gives you, I believe this is unmatched when it comes to these hybrid samplers. I mean, I don't know if any other one that would have this kind of capability. I don't think that the emulator does, or Emacs. I don't think that the Akai S950 does. This is very, very unique. So I definitely, think that the ability of just kind of like process through the analog pipeline all of these sounds is something that, in my opinion, is unique to the Korg DSS-1. Let's see, finale. It's almost like that THX in movie theater type of sounds. Wonderful, wonderful use of the filtering and I guess like the pitch bend. Here's a flanger. So I don't know if it's arriving at the flanging with the dual digital delays, or if it's doing so by kind of slightly offsetting the tuning or timing of the two oscillators, but it works. Let's see what else we got. Another sync lead. It's a lot of fun. Hoover, I guess this is inspired by like the Roland Juno, Alpha Juno. Neat. Polybrass. That's all I'm playing. That's all I'm playing. That's all I'm playing for now. That's it. That's it. 2 chords. That's it. Or else YouTube police is coming and get me in trouble. Maybe I can play 3 chords. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. All right, let's do Abacab. I guess this is like a Genesis. I can't remember the song, but I think they did something like that. I like how they're using the digital delay, the dual digital delays, to almost kind of create a bit of a reverb sort of effect. I did add a teeny tiny smidgen of reverb to this recording, so like when you listen to it, like there's a little bit of reverb just to kind of smooth things out a little bit. But even like the raw sound has almost like a reverb-like sort of tones. You can kind of hear it a little bit. Let's see, UFO Roar. So this is more like a sound design sort of type of sound. I wonder if it makes use of there's like a noise generator, so maybe it kind of like leverages some of that as well. Moving almost done with this with this collection of sound. Yazoo. Let's see. Is this enough to kind of not get me in trouble with the YouTube police? Yeah, I mean it's a great synth bass, great synth. Once again, like I mean, I have the AX80 that I really like for this type of sounds, but I don't know. I think like the DSS-1 sounds better. Square lead. There's a lot of low end in there. If you're watching this and a system that has like some sub bass, you can probably hear like just how rich and powerful like the low end is. Echo lead. Once again, making usage of the dual digital delays. It's cool. It's fun. That's a fun sound. And last but not least, I think there's a maximum of like 32 sounds for each bank. Okay, I'm just gonna leave you on that nice little major C major chord, just to leave it on a positive note. At any rate, I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, it's a bit of an experiment. If you did like it, let me know in the comments below, because then I can make some more. You know, if you like me kind of like yakking about synthesizers and doing a bit of exploration with the sounds, and so you can kind of hear for yourself. One last thing that I will mention about the Korg DSS-1 is that it can be had for like really cheap. I mean, it's big, so shipping is a bit of an issue. But I mean, if you can find one locally, you can generally pick it up for, honestly, just like a lot less than what you would pay for, I mean, geez, even like TX7, or which, as I said, I'm not too crazy about. Or, I mean, I think price-wise right now, like, I mean, you can probably get like a Korg DSS-1 for about like, I would say like a couple $100 less than you could a Korg DW8000. And I gotta be honest with you, between the two of them, I think the DSS-1 is just much better deal. It's just such a richer sounding synthesizer, can do everything that the DW8000 can do and more, way more. So anyway, I hope you'll check it out. I hope that, you know, if you have an opportunity to get your hands on one, I think you'll be very, very happy with it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you in the next one.